Good morning and welcome to the craft room. I'm Ellie Barnes. I'm so glad you can join me this morning. We're going to have some fun with a bundle called Capturing Smiles. This came out in March and I haven't had much time to play with it, with so much going on and so many wonderful stamp sets and sweets and bundles that Stamping Up have brought out. But I've actually had a little play yesterday with this and I thought, oh, this is fun. Reminds me of my days when I was back working in the film industry. For those that don't know, I was doing directing and producing and I loved it. But I do miss those days and it is going to be so much fun to have a little play with this. And I thought, my first thoughts were, let's do something fun and bright and that. And then I thought, oh, I've got a better idea. So let's get down to the desk. I'll show you the bundle and we'll have a chat about what we're going to do today and get started. So we will do the old switcheroo with the camera, turn it around and switch it down, and there we are. This is the bundle. It's called Capturing Smiles. And although, yes, film and television involves using cameras, moving cameras, a lot of things are done with still pictures in getting prepared, finding locations, promo shots, all sorts of things. And so it does remind me of those days when I was very much involved with things. Oh, look, I haven't even checked. Are we live in the right place? Oh, it hasn't come up. Oh, maybe it has. There it is. We are live in the right place. That's a relief. Okay, let's keep going. So, yes, it does remind me of those days, but it also reminds me of my mum. My mum was a great photographer and, she did it as a hobby, but loved it, and she actually won awards for her photos. So, taking things down on photos is part of our lives. So, perhaps getting into scrapbooking will be part of something I should get more involved in. But before we go any further, I want to show you a card that I originally thought, we'll make this card. It's fun, it's bright, and it's this one. I've painted the camera yellow because I just wanted something fun and bright, and it reminded me of kids' cameras. When I was younger, you could get cameras that were yellow. Perhaps it's the Kodak colours, I don't know. I shouldn't mention someone's brand, but perhaps that's what it is. But it just reminded me of fun, bright cameras, cheap cameras when I was little. But then I thought, oh, let's go back a little bit further. Let's go back to when cameras were really, really old and new, and we had things that would be like this today. They'd be antiques today. In fact, I think I've got a couple put away. But let's have a look at, this we all can do. It's just a bit of bright paper and some bright colouring. This involves a few more steps, but we can all do this too. So I thought, if I show you this card, you can always make this card because it uses some of the same skills, and I can show you how to do that. But it gives us a chance to do something a little bit different and a little bit out there. So let's get started. So instead of using bright colours, we're going to use browns and greys. I've got beige. That's basic beige, granite grey, crumb cake, lots of crumb cake, and I've got pecan pie. We're going to use pecan pie as our base, so let's build up. Let's start, we'll get this one out of the road. Let's start with pecan pie, and we'll just bring this in. I think it's the other half of that. It's got a few marks on it from when I did that, and I'm not worried because that will just add to the character. So that, oh, I never checked, is it the right length? It is. So we've got our card base. Now this is 14.3 and we're going to make it 10. So this can be our front piece. Now believe it or not, these two front pieces are the same piece of cardstock. So how do we get it to look like that? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brushes. I've got a brown brush here, and I'm going to take my inks. Now, which inks are we going to use? We're going to use Pecan Pie to start with. Oh, well, Crumb Cake actually we'll start with. We're going to start light and go dark. So we've got Crumb Cake, Pecan Pie, and Early Espresso. And we're going to change this piece of cardstock into an old piece of cardstock. So we'll open them all up. Now I'm doing it on a glass mat. If you haven't got a glass mat, because I can clean that up with a wipe, if you haven't got a glass mat, do it on a piece of paper. I'm inking my brush up with Crumb Cake, and I am literally going to go all over this and make bits that are lighter, bits that are darker. I want this to be a mess. Now, the Crumb Cake doesn't show that strongly on your card. It's just taking some of the plain off, but it's sort of giving us a little bit of colour there. And as I said, I'm going sort of all over. And more in the middle because I just don't want it to be a flat colour in the middle. And I also want some ink there because I'm going to use some water on it, and I want some ink to react to the water. Now I'm going to change and bring in some a Pecan Pie. Now this is a little bit darker, as you can see. And I'm not really fussed if it makes a mess. And I'm putting the heaviest around the edges. Definitely want it on the corners, because the corners are going to be seen quite well. And a little bit in the middle. Now I'm also going to put a bit underneath, and I'm not worried if some of this ink gets onto the cardstock. Wrong corner. Yes, no. We want this corner and this corner, because we're going to, well actually we'll do all four just in case some of those show. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of this and add it just a tad. I'm not making any big colours on it. So I've got this messy piece of cardstock. And I'm going to take this corner and I'm just going to hold it down where I want it to stop, and I'm just going to wiggle it backwards and forwards to soften it up. And now it's making some lines in it and that. And then I want to do the same down here. Now these I'm making them quite big and quite wide. I'm using that much. And again, I want some lines in that. And then I'm going to take my brush and just go over those lines, so that there's, you know, even more definition to them when I scrunch them down like that. This side, I'm just going to wiggle each corner, but just the tip of it, so it looks like it's being dragged around a bit. It's been there, you know, knocked about a bit. Now I'm going to close these, going to bring over my aqua painter. I want to get, it doesn't worry me if it drops onto here. I'm going to squeeze, there's two sides here, two little words here that say push. That will bring the water down into the brush. I'm not using any colour, just water. And then I'm going to get my bone folder, and I'm going to try and tap and get splashes all over this. And I can keep squeezing. I don't mind if I get big splashes or little splashes. Can even do a great big drop. So, there's my splashes. Now they're drying out. They're going to leave marks everywhere. So I'm going to leave that to dry. And while that's drying, we're going to start on some of the other bits. I'll clean this up. Now the first thing we're going to start with is our film strip. So the first thing I'm going to do is, and I didn't grab any out, so we will. I just need a piece of early espresso. Now film is normally black, but I'm using the brown colours, so I'm going to take brown. I need to cut out, where's the dies? Where did I put the dies? Over this side. I need to cut out the film strip. And I also need, and I'll use a piece of this, I also need the bit to go in the white sections, or in the, instead of white I'm using beige. So we'll bring in our cut and emboss machine to start with to do this bit. Now I've measured this before, and I know that if I cut, I've put it here and I've measured between the strip, the holes in the strips on the side. If I cut at 2.3, I can glue that on. And to get my length, I want it to be about 6.8. And that's going to fit in behind here. Now I could do individual squares, but I found that more messy and difficult. So I'll show you how I've done it. Other people might do it a different way. And then I'm just going to cut this film strip out. So let's quickly, I should have the little one out, shouldn't I? You can see where I was cutting yesterday. What a messy plate I've got. Let's whip this through. We've been busy making birthday cards and all sorts of things this week. But, well, Bella has. She's got birthday to go to again today. Remember when I was young, I didn't seem to have so many birthdays to go to. There we go. So, we've cut out our film strip. So, oh, this is handy. This one's actually got, there's a fluke. It has adhesive on the back. Well, that makes life easier. Oh, sometimes things work in your favour. I'll poke all those out after. I'll just put that aside. Now, so I'm going to bring in under these circumstances, I'm going to bring in a silicone mat to work on so that it doesn't stick to my glass mat. So the bonus of having the adhesive means I can now stick these on and then I'll be able to stick them straight on. Oh, hang on, before I do that, I was going to do something else. Just put that over there for a minute. I want this to look old too and a bit worn. So we're just going to put a bit of colour into it like that, so that when we stamp, it's not going to be pristine. Does that work out right? Yes, I think so. I'll put it back on here because I don't want it to end up stuck there. And that might act as a stamp mat for me. Now, I'm going to bring in, I have put one on either side here, which is my cheap's way when I don't have enough blocks, and just one on this one. And I'm using Early Espresso, which is the same as the paper on the outside. And I'm going to have to stand up to get my head over the top because I want this to be as near as in the right spot as possible. So one. And then we're going to do the camping one. Two. And then the city skyscraper, which you probably have to be in New York at the time or London to see skyscrapers when this was as old as it is pretending to be. Now, there are little lines around the outside and you can see they're more white, and it just doesn't work for me, wanting everything to be perfect. So I'm just going where those lines are with my marker in Early Espresso. I would have used a blend, only they don't have them in Early Espresso, because markers, of course, are being phased out. This has worked out. All those extra bits that I need to colour in are all in the one side. So that's given me my old bit of film that's going to go on my card. Now, I don't want to stick it down yet, so I'm going to leave it upside down. We'll get that out of the road. And we'll get Early Espresso out of the road. The next thing we have to do, or the next thing we'll do, is the camera. Now, I could use shiny silver. I could use, we have another metal colour at the moment, or I could use slate grey, no, smoky slate, because it's got a more of a grey silvery touch. But I'm using granite grey because it's got a bit of brown in it, and it's, to me, looks really old worldly with these brown colours. So I'll bring in my stamp mat, and I need to stamp the base of the camera. So I'll show you what you need to make the camera. You need the base of the camera, you need this bit, and you need this bit. So I've got my base, this bit, and I've got the shutter bit we don't need. I used it on the other card. and this circle piece. So I'm going to stamp that all in. Here it is, basic grey. Let's get some of these things we don't need out of the road again, so we're not crowded up. So we've got our basic grey camera. We'll put that over there out of the road so we don't make a mess. And we've got the bit that the lens attaches to, and we've got the lens. Now, to cut these out, we'll bring our dies back in. This can go back in here. We'll need the camera, the bit for the lens to hold on to. Now this one will cut out this lens circle, and I'll show you how that works. And I want to cut out this piece to form the camera. So we're going to bring in our cut and emboss machine again. We might just close this up. I'm going to turn this dirty plate over so it doesn't interfere. Now when you get this on perfectly, it gives you a view to place that looks through. You can look through, and I'll show you what that means. So we want to get this, again I'm going to have to get up here and look from above to make sure I've got them on the right spot. That can just go down there. This, you need to get the circles that you've stamped in the right spot. And this goes over here. Perhaps I should have put this one on first. Oh, now I've got the shakes. That looks fairly good. So we'll cut all these out and I'll show you how this forms your camera. Now, if you didn't have the dies and you thought, I've only bought the stamp set, you can't do the film, but you could fussy cut some of these pieces. But it would be much... It won't be as easy as if you've got the dies. So, we'll get that out of the road and that out of the road. So we've cut out, we'll look at each piece. We've cut out the base of our camera. We've cut out where the lens goes. It's slightly crooked, but we'll get away with it. And it fits on like so. We've cut out this lens. Now it cuts out also this, which you could use to cut out an image and have a shiny piece on your image, or have a hole through it. I'm not using that piece, so I'm just using the circle on here. But I also have cut out this piece. Now I want this piece to be black. I could have got black paper, but I'm just going to use this paper. I've taken my black, dark basic black blender. And so it actually isn't as black as perhaps black paper, black cardstock, but it does have that black look in this group of pieces. So I'm just going all the way around. I'm going to let that dry. And we'll put these pieces aside, and we'll put these aside. So before I pull my camera together, I'm going to take my blends of light pecan pie. I need to make the camera look a bit old. And I'm just colouring in this square. And this square. And while that's drying for a minute, I'm just going to take my basic black and I'm just going to colour in this knob up here and here and these two little triangles, and I think that's where I'm going to leave that. Then I'm going to take my dark pecan pie and I'm going to go over here, but I'm not going all the way to the edges at the top, the bottom and this side. I am to this side where your hand might hold it, but I'm just making it darker there. And as that dries, it will sort of blend in with itself and it just then looks like something's darker there and you're not sure what. The next thing I'm going to do is take a bit of this paper. It will fit through, be covered by that hole. And I'm going to take one of the images and I'm going to stamp it again with the Early Espresso. And we'll do the camping. No, we might do the beach one for this one, just to switch it up. So we'll put those, no, we're not finished with all this yet, are we? Okay, so again, I want to bring some of the brown into this, so it's not perfect. And then I'm going to cut this. I'm going to place this bit over it. Well, we'll put these two together first. This bit, and if I'd cut it better, it would look perhaps straighter, but it doesn't matter. We're going to glue that together. Lid's been left off. Let's get the edge of the dry glue off. Sometimes when I'm working out, the lid gets left off too long. Let's get some more glue back onto this now. That's better. Now, you can, when you get this in the right spot, I'm just going to use this to get any glue that's seeped out. You get a little black rim on the inside and one on the outside. And then we can just put a little bit up the top here and down the bottom here. And I want this out to the side. And we can glue it on. Now, I've left too much on the top there. Hang on, we'll let this dry and then I'll show you how we can fix it. So we'll just let that dry for a minute. Before we put all this together, I'm taking my browns and I'm just putting a little bit around it where it's being touched a lot. Same on the camera. along the sides where that's been held, so that it's now looking a bit messy and dirty. And if I hold them up, you'll see what I mean. And that's one of the hints to make something look old, is to do a lot of making it look messy and dirty. I also want to add a few spots. And I'm going to do the same on here, now that it's dry. May not notice it much, but it just adds to that aged look. So this is now looking lovely, an old bit of paper. Let's finish putting our camera together. To give it dimension, I'm just going to bring in some dimensionals to give it dimension. I'm going to pop some on the back of here. Oh, I'm going to put 4 on to make it stand properly. It's supposed to be a metal camera. Now, the best way to do this is to line up your viewfinders. And try and put it so it looks straight. Now, this had a little bit of those white bits hanging over. Because there's no glue on those corners, I can just clip them like this. White bits, brown bits, they were beige bits. And we'll put a couple of dimensionals on this so it sticks out also. Put 3 on this. You know me, I like to keep things so that they don't sag. And we're going to pop this so our scene looks appropriate over here. So there's our old film strip and our old camera. But it looked a little bit flat. So I decided I would take my beige paper and I wanted green, but I didn't want bright green. So I'm just going to colour in some of this paper so that it's got this old, and I'm not worried if it's thick or thin. If I go over a spot extra and it makes it a bit darker, that's fine. I'm going to cut some leaves out, so I need a bit of size. I think this might be enough. Now, again, I don't want it looking perfect. So I'm using my colour lifter just to, and I don't care if it's got squiggles because it's going to be leaves. So I don't want it perfectly looking. These are very pale, so the colouring's very pale. And I'm going to put some water splotches on it as well. See if I can get some more water to come down. Yeah. We might just pick some of that up and splotch it around a bit. Now, while that one's drying, I also want to do some flowers. some of these little flowers here. So I'm going to use, this is light strawberry slush. It looks very bright, doesn't it? No, that's not how I did it. I'm thinking, that's looking way too bright. I did it this way. You'll see the difference. I used a brush and some ink. So you can see the difference here. And what I used the pen for was the dots. So there you go. Then you've got a whole lot of dots there. So that's going to give me more of an interesting look. And it's very pale to see, but there is bits of colour come out of that one too. If I can hold that. Very hard to see. Hopefully. Maybe not. So I'm going to bring in, because I thought this looked a bit old worldly, I'm not going to stamp the flowers. I'm just going to cut these pieces out for leaves and these flowers out. So we've got these two dies here, and because that's really wet in the middle, I can go around those bits so that we don't end up with a really wet splodge in this. And I need to cut out this 3 times down here. So let's cut this piece off. And so we have plenty of room. We'll cut out this middle section here. So we'll cut out some leaves and some flowers quickly. Move everything, Ellie. Make a mess. So the leaves here. Flowers here. Now, I've got enough leaves, but I don't have enough flowers, so I'll pop that off. I'll pop those out of there and do that again. I'm just going to push all that aside so we've got room. So we'll just pop these out and cut that another 2 times. Now, because it's only little, I'm just going to go through there and back out. That's got 2 more. And again. Right. We'll get this out of the road. So we've got some flowers. We have our leaves. Oh, come on, flowers, out you come. We have our flowers. We have, that's that sticky corners off the film. We have our leaves here. those bits out. And we have our paper. So let's assemble, but before we do, I've put on the front of this, hello friend. And I've used early espresso. And I have taken it off, so I might have to find it again. Did I put it away? No. It must be on a stamp somewhere. A block somewhere. And I can't find it. What about we use... What's this? Love this smile. What about if we use moments? I'm just looking what else is there. Looking good, photo op. Moments, everyday moments. Ooh. Any suggestions? Perhaps looking good. That might be something we can use. This is what happens when you make a mess when you're crafting and you clean up and you think you found everything and you haven't. No, that's photo op. We want looking good. I also do love this smile. I like that. Love this smile. We'll get a different block. Bring in our stamp mat. And we'll put it down here. Love this smile. Now, let's start putting this together. So we're just going to pop this on with some glue. Now I'm not going to put glue right up to the corners. Hello friend, I just found it. Oh dear me. I'm not putting glue right up to the corners because those corners are going to sit up. So I'm doing it just like that. Putting that on there. Now I'm going to pop some of these leaves on. Now I'm not going to put glue on every little piece because the camera is going to hold it down and the film. So I'm just going to put a few bits on. I'm going to spread it out as far as I can. See if I can get it out a little bit further than I did. In fact, I'm going to cut. No, I'm going to put it out like this. And I can put a flower over. I might cut those stem bits off, actually. There we go. I can always put a flower over the end of that. I just wanted it to be out a little bit further than on that one. And the same with this, if I can get a bit more showing, I'd be happy. So we'll go up a bit higher. Now, if you're finding things aren't sitting while you're working on them, just grab a block and put it on for a minute while you're putting a bit of glue on the next bit. Now we've got sticky on that. It's just to put a bit on the middle of this so it sits where we want it. Now we're going to just pop it like this. And what we'll do is we'll pop that one there. The camera, I want it to sit up. So we're going to bring back our dimensionals. got dimensionals there. We'll leave that because I'm going to stick some flowers on in a minute. Where's these? We'll snip some of these into pieces. Always use the edge pieces of your dimensionals. There's plenty of what you, more pieces to use. So we'll pop one there. If I got this out of camera, I probably have. I'll pop another one and another one. That should be plenty to hold it up. So I'm just going to peel them off today because this is so high in the middle. You can see that that's sort of quite thick. Hopefully so. Right, we'll take that off. Now my camera's going to go here. I'll put it up a bit more this time. Can go here. Now these little flowers, let's throw a few around. I just put one little tiny dot on the back. We'll put one to cover that stem. And one under here to cover that stem. There you go. I think it's going to sit. And one out here. We'll put two out here. One there. And one there. We'll pop one at the bottom here. And one at the side. And then to finish that, after I put the lid on the glue, I'm just going to take the point of my marker and put a centre in each of the flowers, a dot in each of the centres. Doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. As for the inside, did I do one? Yes, I did. Just to show you this little piece that we had before. It's a bit messy on that side, so we'll do it this side. I'll cut it straight because I had only roughly cut it. So that's straight again. We'll have two under. Well, I call it 2 under 14.5, but which is 14.3 by 10. And the quickest and easiest way to make this look old is to bring in our pecan pie. Where did we put pecan pie? In all these things I've tossed to the side. Oh, at the top here. We'll bring the pecan pie in. And it doesn't matter if it goes in the middle a bit. It's a bit of old paper. How's that for quick and easy? And of course, it's because it's in the middle, I can't lift the corners too much, so I just glue it in flat. If you wanted to, you can make this really dark on those matching corners out the thing, like so. And we'll just keep wiping this, and we'll glue that in. And what we also could do, we have a little camera here. I think I used black on it last night, so we'll just blend up and we'll get our early espresso. And we'll just pop it in the corner. Oh, that way. That way, early. Not showing the class. So, there's our card. So, I hope that gives you some ideas how you can make an old worldly card. And it's just a matter of playing around with smudging colour into things. And I quite enjoyed doing that. I hope you enjoyed watching it. All right, let's come back to me. That time of the day where you get to see the mess behind. There we go. So, we're finished today's card. We will come back next week. Or I will come back next week and I will show you something else new. But in the meantime, have a good week. I can't believe we're going into June this week. So stay tuned. I will be looking at letting everyone know about Christmas in July coming up soon. And of course, there will be some classes about to start soon too. Oh, don't forget, it's the first Tuesday of June on this coming Tuesday is the first Tuesday of the month, and we have coffee and cards at the Robin Hood Hotel in town. So come along, have a cuppa, make a card or two, and chat with some other crafters. Look forward to seeing you there. Have a good week. Bye-bye.